Hey everybody, I wanted to talk to you a minute about a report that came out here just recently about the national power grid going down. It's put out by the Department of Homeland Security, and it's from a council that they put together to research something. So let me tell you about what it says. It's called the President's National Infrastructure Advisory Council. Okay, now they did this report, and there has been a lot of people on YouTube, as well as I scrolled through many websites that I Googled about this report. And people are telling other people, from anywhere from newspapers to YouTubers, I'm not putting anybody down, that this report says that we're going to be out of electricity for 6 months. Now, I heard that about a week ago, and I might have mentioned that myself in one of these two videos that I had just done. And if I did, I apologize. I went on what I knew at the time because I wasn't really looking that up, if that's in my video, because I know it was on my mind to say it. I didn't research that. It was something that I heard. It was kind of keeping it in the back of my mind. I may have said something in the video. I don't know. But I'm telling you, I'm not a fearmonger, and I'm also not going to give you intentionally bad information. This report does not say that we're going to be out of electricity for 6 months. However, it does say that they're expecting, due to cyber attacks that have been going on and other things that could happen, our power grid to go down. Now, if that happens, this report does say a time limit on it, and I'm going to read what their summary says to you. It's 92 pages. I'm not going to read it, but I will read the summary, just a section of the summary. Anyway, it's called Surviving a Catastrophic Power Outage: How to Strengthen the Capabilities of Our Nation. Okay, so anyway, right here, under the executive summary, in other words, this went to the president, so they're just cutting to the chase so he can read that, and he doesn't have to read this 92 pages of stuff he's probably not interested in. It says, and I'll talk up a little bit since I'll be facing away from the mic: significant public and private action is needed to prepare for and recover from a catastrophic outage that could leave large parts of the nation without power for weeks and months, and cause service failures. Service failures. Those failures include, but they're not limited to, water and wastewater. Wastewater is basically sewage. Communications, transportation, healthcare, and financial services. Now, that is just a little block off of a large summary, this couple pages, but I'm just telling you, cut to the chase for that. Okay, with that being said, the prepper part of me wants to discuss this. So here's the deal. I don't know how much you know about what would happen if there's no electricity. Not everybody knows these things. A lot of you do that are preppers that are following my channel, but those of you who are not, especially if you live in big cities, okay, which is most people. When there's no electricity, water, even though you have it coming to your house, cannot be pumped to your house. You will lose your water. Your sewage cannot be pumped away from your house. Sewage will back up. Toilets will not flush. That is not only a major health risk, but totally disgusting. Okay. You won't have refrigeration. Okay. So anybody that is on medication could have their medication severely jeopardized during a power outage. Now, I'm going to use my aunt as an example. She was diabetic from the time she was a little girl, from the day she was born, basically, however long that takes to kick in, the doctors know it, until she was in her 50s. They never thought she'd live past 20 at the time. She did die, and it was all due to her diabetes. So the thing is, she had to take insulin every day. Many diabetics do. Insulin must be refrigerated. Okay, it must be. For any of you who have ever read 1 Second After, you already know the scenario over the insulin in that book. Insulin must be refrigerated. Other medications have to be refrigerated as well, and much of the medicine out there doesn't have to be. Depends what you're on. Transportation, okay? If they can't transport all this medicine from area to area because there's no power, stores will be closed, there's no electricity, there's not the ability for people to produce products, more than likely medication is going to come to a standstill. There's people on medication who that could affect, okay? I have to take heart medication every day, all right? I have to take heart pills. I also have to take blood pressure pills that are separate from that. And a couple other things. It really doesn't matter. I'm using it for an example. Plus, I have to use a CPAP. I stop breathing every night, okay? When I took my sleep studies, I stopped breathing in those studies an average of 240 times a night, okay? Period. So I have to use a CPAP. It's not because I snore. Snoring's not an issue. Breathing is an issue. All right. So anybody that has to use a CPAP or a BiPAP, they're going to be in jeopardy, okay? It's not that they will necessarily, and mine is considered, there's a level of being on a CPAP where your health is in jeopardy if you don't have it, okay? It could get really, really bad for you, including and up to death. All right, so if people can't sleep, then their judgment gets impaired. They fall asleep at the wheel. They fall asleep when they're using tools. They could be standing and fall asleep and hurt themselves by hitting their head on something, potentially killing themselves. So no electricity is a really bad thing. So as you can see where I'm going with this, it's more than just, poop, the lights are out, It's major, and it can cause major, major issues for people, especially over an extended period of time. They're saying weeks to months, but let's be real about it. There's other things into play here that they're not talking about. Our transformers that, I believe they're the transformers, I believe that's what they're called, that work, our power stations. There's 3 main stations that handle the power grid for the country: Texas, the East Coast, West Coast. Okay. Like they said, I watched a very in-depth video on this. If those transformers were to go bad, they blow. They're trashed. Like we'll say in an EMP attack and everything's fried. We have 2 replacement transformers that are as old as the ones that are currently there. Okay? We don't make them in the United States. That really came to a shock to me. We have a national power grid, and we're not constantly maintaining that power grid by making sure we have transformers to replace the 3 big areas, the 3 big stations that push this electricity out throughout the country. We don't have more than that. I thought that was pathetic. That really concerned me. Those transformers, if I remember right, I know there's a big difference. Forgive me, because I don't remember. But they're overseas, so really that's all that matters. I believe they were made in Germany. The point is, they're overseas. So that isn't doing us a bit of good. So this could go on for more than a couple months, technically. Of course, if it was an EMP, gloves are off. It could go on for years, easily, before they get the power back on. But just these cyber attacks that they're concerned about, and they did catch a guy here just recently, not too long ago, they caught a guy that was trying to attack our power grid. He was caught, arrested, jailed, all that stuff, but they believe he was part of a much larger group of hackers that are trying to take down our grid. So there's a couple areas of thought here. The conspiracy theorists are going to say that the government wouldn't be putting this out if they didn't know something. They're probably intentioning to take the grid down, make things go to hell in a handbasket, excuse me, and then, you know, kick out martial law and take control of the country. I mean, I've heard all kinds of stuff. The other side of the coin is that it is just a concern for an attack, and that they're getting hammered so much that they possibly might feel they can't keep up with it, and they know they're going to lose this battle. So they're warning everybody, get prepared for months of no electricity. It's got to be one of the two. Either they're in on it or it's a fact, and it's a very good possibility that they can get hacked and take our infrastructure down. And they do list in these reports and others the very real possibility of an EMP. Okay, I'm going to get off all of that. Now, what can you do on your preps? You got to have water. Got to have water. If you can talk to your doctor or whatever, you might be able to come up with some ideas about medicine if you use medicine, okay, if you're dependent on it. You're going to have to research your own ways to figure out something to do with refrigeration capabilities. I think that only way you could do that is solar, but if there's no electricity. But you're going to have to look into something for you that are on insulin, okay? I'm very concerned for you. So look into your medicines, food and water. Now, water. Your body requires a little over 2 liters, about a half a gallon of water a day per person in your household. Every day, a half a gallon of water. That's pretty much a requirement. It's what you need, okay? That is definitely what's recommended. You need that to flush toxins out of your body so you don't get constipated, because you don't drink a lot of water, you will. That can cause real problems. So you need about that much water per day for everyone in your house. Can you imagine if this is going to last weeks or months, how much water you're going to have to stock, okay, per person? What I suggested in my other video is start filling them up with empty milk jugs, start filling them up, date them with a Sharpie when you filled it up, start filling them up with tap water, whatever it takes, okay? Okay. Whether it's buying distilled water or purified water, or you have an RO unit or whatever, you need to start stocking up water and have it put aside just in case, okay? You need to set aside food, okay? Now, if there's no refrigeration, food becomes a bit of an issue. Now, if you're trying to limit your water because you don't have much water, you're just trying to store enough water to be able to drink, and you don't want to store enough water to try to cook meals and figure out how you're going to cook meals, I suggest a sun oven. If you've got to cook meals and there's no electricity, it's going to be really dicey. It's going to be real difficult to do. Either you go out on a grill or you're going to have something like a sun oven. Now, to avoid a lot of that, you can use canned goods. All right, canned goods aren't the best for you, but let's face it, millions of Americans go to Wally World and they buy canned goods. All right, so canned goods are already cooked. Any food that comes in a can has already been cooked, okay? It's got a lot of junk in it you don't want, but it's cooked and it's there and it's ready to eat, and you wouldn't need water to prepare it. You wouldn't have to have electricity and that kind of thing to prepare your meals. They do make meat. They make anywhere from salmon and beef and chicken. They make meat that comes in a can, in pretty large cans too. Kind of like the really big stew cans. I've seen them. They make it. So you can buy meat in a can. So your meats could be covered for your protein. And then, of course, your vegetables and stuff are there as well in canned goods, and you wouldn't have to cook them. Nobody wants them cold right out of the can, but I'll tell you what, if things have really hit the fan and you're lucky to even be alive, you're not going to cry over that food. So you need to put away a lot of food and a lot of water just in case. Start doing it every time you go grocery shopping. Just grab a couple cans, extra cans of whatever. Okay, I'm not telling you to double your grocery list and the cost of your groceries. I'm just saying grab a couple cans of food. All right, now, for long-term food storage, I wanted to share this with you. I'm going to give you some ideas. This is for 20 years or more. These are things that you can buy, but they're actually, if you listen to this list, are things that you use every day. For the most part, use every day, not the MREs. Listen. For 20-year food storage, you can purchase and store for over that length of time sugar, MREs, which you're probably not going to do, grains, rice, salt, beans, honey, oatmeal, and pasta, and then freeze-dried foods. Now, the things on that list, most people use on a regular basis. That food will store for over 20 years with no problem. Here's a few things I want to throw out. If you're going to do that, you need to get some food-grade buckets. Buy the items that are here. Don't open them. Put them in the buckets. The best thing to do would be put them in a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber in it. Vacuum seal them. Okay? But if you can't do that, get food buckets, put these bags of food that you purchase in the buckets, throw in some oxygen absorbers. You can buy them on eBay, what am I saying? What is that? Amazon. And then screw the lid back down. They make buckets that the lids actually screw that are 5-gallon buckets, and they have an O-ring on them. Airtight. Great. Keep mice out, moisture out. You'll be good to go. So you need to start saving some food and putting it away, storing it properly with oxygen absorbers in buckets that actually seal. Keep the buckets out of the sunlight. Keep them in a cool, dark place. Keep them away from rodents. Keep them away from insects if you can. Now, if they're in a sealed bucket, you don't have to worry about it. If you can't afford to get buckets and you just have a shelf in your house, put some mouse traps out all over the floor. Make sure that you have the shelves up off of the floor to deter rodents getting on them, because people do get mice in their homes they don't even know about. Date the food. I mean, you really wouldn't have to date it. If it's these things, you don't have to date it. But you're going to have to keep it away from rodents and pests. So you're going to have to work that part out. Just giving you the suggestion. Now, if you purchase canned goods are fine if they're not dented. Canned goods can last well over 5 years. I'm a 5-year guy. Okay, I know they can last 5 to 10 years. I'm a 5-year guy. That's just me. So you know they're good for that length of time. You can just open them up and eat them. You don't even have to cook it. Okay, so keep that in mind. When you buy food, date it and put it on a shelf. Okay? And really, I guess that's about it. Now, on food, I'm going to try to remember. If I forget, please, one of you remind me. I will put a few links to some freeze-dried foods that are already ready and prepared in buckets that you can buy, okay? I will say right up front, and I'm not going to list them, Wise, W-I-S-E, is a big brand of freeze-dried foods. However, one of the guys I respect the most, very most, on YouTube is a guy named Southern Prepper One. I actually know his real name. I don't want to go there because I'm not putting out his name. But he says, and he's tried them and used them, and he has an amazing pantry stock. Wise brand dehydrated foods, according to him, taste horrible. He said they're just awful. They're terrible. He hates them. And he just put that out on one of his own videos and suggested other brands. So the brands he suggested I already knew about. I was glad to hear about Wise because I knew it was a popular brand, well known, but I didn't know. He says it's terrible, don't buy it. So I'm not going to list Wise. But I will put links for other brands that are very well known and very good. Now, if you look in my videos, you'll see one on food storage. I have buckets of food there from Chef's Choice or something like that. I can't remember. That's a good brand too. But I would encourage you to look at that video and watch it to learn a little more about this stuff and what you can do. Okay? So that's it. I don't want to talk too long. Thank you for watching. Again, I'm not fear-mongering. That's not me. I don't care. I did have a couple people tell me I was. I am not. I'm a prepper, and I'm trying to make you aware of the fact that there is a very real possibility that we could have a national power grid failure. Since they put this out to everybody, I'm putting it out to you. That's it. Thank you for all my subscribers that I've gained over the last 5-6 days. I really, really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great day, a great weekend coming up. I'm not going to make another video before next week. Thank you for commenting on the videos. Please remember, for all you that are new, maybe you're new to YouTube, can't imagine that, but maybe you are, please like and subscribe. Like the videos, put the little thumbs up, like them if you like them, thumbs down if you don't like them, that's okay, I can handle it. If you cuss, I didn't say it on the other video, I'm saying it now, if you cuss, and I have, I will remove your video. Now, your comment. Now, I did have a gentleman that cussed on one of the comments with the F word. I gave him a chance. I said, if you please remove this and change that word, I'll leave your comment. He did it immediately. So I don't want cussing on my page, just so you know. So at any rate, if you like the video, thumbs up. If you don't, thumbs down. Please subscribe if you like the channel. Please tell your friends about the channel. That's it. I'm rambling too long. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Talk to you later. And subscribing. You guys had a great weekend.